Welcome. Every single person has moments of doubt. That feeling of uncertainty, the voice in your mind that says, maybe I can't do this, is something we've all faced. But here's the truth, doubt doesn't have to stop you. In fact, it can be the very thing that pushes you to become stronger, sharper, and more determined than ever before. This isn't just about overcoming hesitation or fear, it's about transforming it into fuel that drives you toward everything you want in life. If you've ever felt like giving up, like the road ahead is just too hard, this message is for you. Today we're going to break down exactly how you can go from feeling unsure to stepping into the kind of confidence and determination that changes everything. You'll learn how to take control of your mindset, turn setbacks into stepping stones, and uncover the strength that's been within you all along. This is your time to stop holding back, to stop questioning whether you're good enough, smart enough, or strong enough. You are. And by the end of this, you'll not only believe it, you'll know how to take action on it. Because this is your life and no one else can create the success you deserve but you. So stick with me, because we're about to shift the way you see yourself and your future. Let's get started. You wake up with a familiar pit in your stomach. That thing you've been avoiding is still there. The difficult conversation, the ambitious project, the risk you need to take, it's all right there, a heavy weight that follows you through the day. And the truth is, it won't go away by ignoring it. You know it, I know it. But that feeling, that fear you're experiencing is not your enemy. It is a signal. It's a compass pointing you in the exact direction you need to move. Most people run from this signal, not because they are weak, not at all. They run because for their entire lives they have been taught that fear means stop, that fear means danger. But in the context of personal growth, this is a profound and damaging lie. Fear is not a barricade, it is an invitation. It is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you are stronger than your circumstances, stronger than your doubts. If you want to build unshakable belief in yourself, not just pretend for a few hours, but truly believe, then you have to face the things that make your stomach turn. The stuff you want to bury, the tasks you want to delay, that is precisely where your strength is hiding. That is where your belief in yourself is waiting to be discovered. You don't overcome fear by thinking about it. You don't defeat it by reading a quote or hearing a speech. You conquer it by walking straight into it. And you don't wait until you're ready. You will never feel 100% ready. You take the step before you're comfortable, because that's the only way you will grow. That is the only way you will expand your limits and transform your identity. When I was younger, I was scared of speaking my mind, terrified of being misunderstood, terrified of being rejected. So I stayed quiet, and for a long time I felt trapped in a life that didn't reflect who I truly was. But one day I realized a fundamental truth. The only way to earn my own respect was to act, even while afraid. I didn't wait to feel confident, I did the things scared. And every single time I acted despite my fear, I got a little stronger, I could stand a little taller, I started to believe in the man I was becoming. You see, most people don't lack talent. They lack courage. They wait for courage to show up, but courage does not precede action. Courage is a reward. You earn it. You prove it to yourself by moving, even when your hands are shaking. You build belief by showing yourself through irrefutable evidence that you can handle fear. If you want to believe in yourself, then you must do the hard thing today, not next month, not when you feel better, now. The real enemy is not the fear itself, but the delay. Every time you delay, you feed the fear. You teach yourself that this emotion is stronger than you. But every single time you act, you feed your strength. You build a new habit, a new mental pathway that says, I'm a person who moves. Don't just face fear once a year, face it every day. That is the rhythm that makes belief permanent. That is the repetition that makes self-respect automatic. Start with the small things that challenge you. Send the email you've been putting off. Speak up when something bothers you in a meeting. Share your ideas with a colleague, even if they're not perfect. Have that conversation you've been avoiding. Take the risk you've been rehearsing in your head for 6 months. Because if you don't do the hard things while you're scared, you will keep feeling small. You will stay stuck in the same place, and you will keep wondering why your confidence isn't growing. Confidence isn't something you get from reading a book or listening to a podcast. It's something you earn by walking through the fire again and again. You build belief by building evidence, real action-based evidence. You want to trust yourself. Then give yourself reasons to trust yourself. Don't wait for perfect, just act now. Someone somewhere is taking your opportunity because they chose to act scared while you waited to feel brave. You've got to show up even when your voice shakes. You've got to say yes even when everything in you wants to say no. And let's be clear, this is not about never being afraid again. That's not realistic. You're human, and you will always feel some fear. But you can train yourself to act anyway. That is where your freedom is. That is where you start becoming someone you're truly proud of. Every day is an opportunity to put yourself in a position that stretches you, that humbles you, that forces you to show up as a better version of yourself. Most people avoid these situations, but not you. Not anymore. You want more. You want to achieve cool things. You want to live a life that's worth remembering. And that only happens when you do the scary things consistently. So stop waiting. Make fear your signal. Use it as your daily compass. If something makes you nervous, that's exactly where you need to go. Not later. Today. Fear won't go away just because you wish it would. You have to move. You have to step forward one action at a time. That's how you kill doubt. That's how you grow belief. And remember, you don't have to win every single battle to feel proud. You just have to show up. That's what matters. That's what changes how you see yourself. When you act while afraid, you stop feeling like an imposter. You stop hiding behind your potential. You start building a reputation with yourself, a reputation for resilience, for courage, for follow-through. And that reputation will change everything. The world rewards action, not intention, not plans, action. If you want to believe in yourself and achieve anything worthwhile, you have to face what you fear again and again. And each time you do, you'll feel something shift inside you. You'll feel more capable, more ready, more alive. And it's not about chasing some big outcome. It's about proving to yourself every single day that you are not controlled by fear. That you are the kind of person who acts, who shows up, who handles hard things. So today, not tomorrow, not next year, today, do one thing that scares you. Do one thing that makes you uncomfortable. That's how belief begins. Not from a book, not from someone else, from you. This is your moment. This is your life. What you do with fear decides what kind of person you become. Not what you say, but what you do. You want to be proud of yourself? Start earning that pride. Not in theory, in reality, in action. So go face it, the fear, the thing, the uncomfortable truth. Walk toward it, step into it. You are stronger than you think. You just haven't proved it to yourself yet. Today is the day you start. And once you start, don't stop. Make it your mission to feel fear and do it anyway, every day. Because you're not here to stay the same. You're here to grow. You're here to lead yourself out of small thinking. You're here to rise. So rise, act, face it, move. That's how you believe in yourself. That's how you achieve cool things. That's how you change everything. If you want to believe in yourself, stop breaking promises to yourself. There is no faster, more certain way to destroy your confidence than by saying you'll do something and then not doing it. Every time you make a vow to yourself, whether it's to wake up early, to exercise, to read a book, or to work on a passion project and you fail to follow through, you are sending a powerful, damaging message to your own mind. It chips away at how you see yourself. Your words lose power, your belief fades, and after a while you don't trust yourself anymore. Because deep down you know you're not following through on the commitments you've made. This is the real hidden cost of inaction. You think it's just a missed workout, just another skipped task, just one more thing you'll get to later. But what you're actually doing is teaching your brain that your promises mean nothing. You start to carry this quiet guilt, this internal dissonance. You avoid mirrors, not because of how you look, but because you know you're living below your own standards. You smile for others, but inside you feel a weakness that stems from a lack of integrity with yourself. It's not because you're not capable, it's because you've given yourself too many reasons not to believe in the person you say you are. True confidence isn't a gift from the outside world, it's an earned reputation with yourself. It's built in the quiet moments when no one's watching. It's forged in the small choices, the daily decisions you make when it's just you and your conscience. When you honor the commitments you make to yourself, you begin to build something profound, self-trust, real, deep, personal trust. And when you trust yourself, confidence isn't something you have to force. It becomes a natural and inevitable result of how you live. Most people wait for confidence, thinking it will show up in the mail. They believe it comes from achievements, from applause, or from other people believing in them. But real confidence starts way earlier. It starts with doing what you say you'll do, no matter how small the task. If you tell yourself you're going to drink more water today, then do it. If you say you'll read 10 pages, finish those pages. If you promise to stop checking your phone in the morning, prove it. These small wins seem insignificant, but they are the bricks you lay for the foundation of your confidence. They're not just habits, they're evidence. They are the proof your brain needs to say, I'm reliable. I can count on me. You wouldn't trust someone who keeps lying to you, so why should you expect to feel confident if you keep lying to yourself? You want to build belief? Then keep every promise you make to yourself like it's a sacred, non-negotiable contract. Not because someone else is watching, not because it's trendy, but because your word to yourself should mean everything. And here's the truth. This kind of consistency is hard, especially at the beginning. Your old weak habits will fight you. Your mind will offer 1,000 justifications to skip, to delay, or to negotiate. But that's where the real shift happens. When you stand firm and say, I promised myself this and I follow through. That single shift changes how you walk, how you think, how you carry yourself. You'll feel a quiet power that you've never experienced before. People will notice it, but more importantly, you will feel it. That's where self-respect grows, and with it comes unshakable confidence. Confidence isn't loud. It's not about showing off. It's the quiet certainty that comes from knowing you're doing what most people avoid. It's the peace you feel when you lay your head down at night knowing you kept your word. It's the strength in your tone when you talk about your goals, not because they're guaranteed, but because you've trained yourself to follow through. If you want to be proud of who you are, start by becoming someone you can rely on. This world doesn't need more people pretending to have it all figured out. It needs more people who are honest with themselves, who know what they want, and who do the work even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one else sees it, especially when no one else sees it. Because every broken promise creates doubt, and every promise kept creates power. The more consistent you become, the more grounded you feel. The more grounded you feel, the more bold decisions you'll make. And suddenly things that used to feel impossible begin to feel reachable, not because the world changed, but because you changed how you move through it. This is where belief begins, in your actions, not your hopes, not your wishes, your consistent, disciplined actions. Every time you complete a task you promised, you add another brick to the foundation of who you are, and the more bricks you lay, the taller you stand. And here's the part most people overlook. Confidence isn't just for the big moments. It's essential in the everyday situations, conversations, decisions, relationships. When you believe in yourself, you speak with more clarity. You make choices without second guessing. You protect your time. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You set boundaries. You walk into a room without shrinking yourself because you know your value. You've earned that feeling through relentless consistency. It's not magic. It's not some gift reserved for the lucky ones. It's something you can build starting today. All it takes is this. Stop making promises you don't intend to keep. Say less. Do more. You don't need a massive plan. You need one clear decision that you follow through on today, then another tomorrow. Stack those. Let time do its work. Before long, people ask you what your secret is, and you'll know it's not a secret at all. It's just the result of becoming someone who honors their word, someone who respects themselves enough to follow through. That's the kind of confidence that lasts. That's the kind of belief that can't be shaken. And that's what separates those who talk from those who rise, not their talent, not their background, their consistency, their ability to keep the promises they make to themselves, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when it would be easier to quit. So ask yourself right now, what promise have you been avoiding? What thing did you say you'd start that you keep putting off? What goal did you commit to that's collecting dust? Go back and finish it. Not for applause, not for approval, but to remind yourself that you still honor your word. That's how you build confidence. That's how you build belief. That's how you stop being the version of yourself that settles and start becoming the version that achieves. Not because you're perfect, but because you've made a decision to follow through no matter what. And the moment you do that, everything begins to change. Ever again. You don't rise higher than the way you speak to yourself every day. Your inner voice is shaping who you become. The words you say inside your own mind are either building your future or burying it. Most people never realize how much damage they're doing, not from the world around them, but from the world within them. That quiet voice, the one nobody hears but you, it has more power over your life than any obstacle out there. Because before you take action, before you chase anything meaningful, before you make that choice, your mind speaks first. And if what it says is filled with doubt, weakness, or shame, your life will shrink to fit those words. You can't keep talking to yourself like you don't matter and expect to build a life that does. You can't keep calling yourself names, blaming yourself for every mistake, putting yourself down, and then be surprised when you lack energy, passion, or clarity. That's not a mindset problem, that's a language problem. And language creates emotion. Emotion drives action. So when you speak weakness, you feel it. And when you feel weak, you act small. And acting small becomes a habit that destroys belief from the inside out. Start noticing the way you talk to yourself when things go wrong. Are you the first one to say, I'm such an idiot, I'll never get this right, I always mess this up, what's wrong with me? That's not harmless. That's not just venting. That's you reinforcing an identity. That's you handing over your potential to fear and frustration. And you do it without even thinking. And the worst part, your brain starts believing it. Not because it's true, but because repetition makes anything feel real. If you spoke to your best friend the way you speak to yourself, they'd walk out of your life. And if you spoke to your child that way, they'd grow up unsure, afraid, and constantly seeking approval. Yet you do it to yourself every single day. It's not okay anymore. That kind of talk doesn't build greatness, it breeds shame. And shame doesn't change your life, it locks it down. You want to believe in yourself? Speak like someone worth believing in. Not with ego, not with arrogance, with strength, with clarity, with dignity. Tell yourself the truth, but tell it in a way that helps you rise. That's not lying to yourself, it's leading yourself. It's choosing words that lift, not crush, that guide, not guilt, that restore, not punish. Powerful self-talk doesn't mean you never mess up. It means that when you do, you don't attack your character. You address your actions. Instead of saying, I'm a failure, you say, I failed at this one thing, but I'm learning. Instead of saying, I'm not good enough, you say, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm working on it. Shift from judgment to leadership. That's what changes lives. You're not a project that needs to be torn down every time something goes wrong. You're a human being learning how to lead yourself through the tough moments. And leaders don't scream abuse at themselves. They take ownership, they get clear, and they move forward with purpose. Start becoming intentional with your inner voice. When your feet hit the floor in the morning, what's the first message you give yourself? Is it dread? Is it complaining? Or is it a decision? A decision to start strong, to be grateful, to be focused. You can set the tone, but most people let their mood do it for them. And your mood is not your master. You train it, you guide it. You steer it with words that matter. Your mind listens to your mouth, it listens closely. And when you say, I can handle this, it starts searching for ways to handle it. When you say, I'm doing better than I think, it starts looking for evidence. But when you say, I'm not cut out for this, or I'm a mess, your mind also listens and it starts making that true. Not because it is, but because you told it to be. If you want to build self-respect, speak to yourself in a way that earns it. Remind yourself of what you've survived. Remember what you've overcome. Don't just replay your worst moments. Replay your victories. The times you didn't give up, the days you got up anyway, the choices you made when no one else was watching. That's your proof. That's your reminder. And if you need to say it out loud, use your voice. Declare the things you want to believe and say them with full conviction, not hesitation. You spend enough time criticizing yourself for every flaw. Now it's time to start encouraging the version of you that's trying to grow. You're not fragile, you're not broken, you're becoming, but you'll never step into your full strength if your voice keeps tearing down your efforts before they even begin. Think about the last time you encouraged someone else, maybe a friend, a teammate, a family member. You didn't tell them they were stupid, you didn't tell them they weren't enough. You looked them in the eye, reminded them of their worth, and helped them see what they couldn't in the moment. Now do that for yourself, because you deserve that same level of support, especially from yourself. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to stop poisoning your progress with weak language. No more talking like a victim. No more labeling yourself with limitations. No more dragging the past into every conversation in your head. That's not growth, that's self-sabotage. Speak to yourself like someone who's going somewhere, someone who knows the road is hard but still shows up. Someone who's tired but still moving, someone who's been through pain but still chooses to create something meaningful out of it, because that's who you are. You just need to hear it more often from the one voice that matters most, your own. Start today. Choose your words with intention. Stop saying things that don't serve you. Stop repeating labels that were never yours to carry. Start writing a new dialogue, one that builds, one that leads, one that makes you feel strong from the inside out. You don't have to wait for someone else to remind you of your worth. You can do that yourself. Not with hype, not with noise, with truth, with strength, with a voice that says, I may not be there yet, but I'm not quitting. A voice that says, I'm proud of how far I've come. A voice that says, I don't shrink for anyone, not even for my own doubt. When you change the way you speak to yourself, you change what you believe is possible. That's the beginning of everything. So never speak weakness to yourself again, not even for a second. You're more than that. Now it's time your voice reflects it. Let's dive deeper into the mechanics of this. Why is your inner dialogue so powerful? It's not just about positive words. It's about a fundamental shift from a language of weakness to a language of leadership. The version of you that you're trying to become is waiting for a leader, and that leader has to be you. Think about the two primary ways we speak to ourselves. There is the language of a victim full of "if only I can't," and it's not fair. This language absolves you of responsibility. It justifies inaction. It says, "I'm a failure because of my circumstances," or "I'm not enough because of what happened to me." This narrative is a comfortable prison. It gives you an excuse not to try, and every time you use it, you reinforce the bars of your own cage. Then there is the language of a leader defined by "I will," "I can," and "what's next." This language demands responsibility. It focuses on solutions, not problems. It doesn't deny reality, but it refuses to be defined by it. A leader's self-talk says, "This is hard, but I am capable of handling it." It says, "I made a mistake, but I'm learning the lesson so I don't repeat it." This language is not about empty optimism. It is about unwavering truth. The truth is, you are a problem solver. The truth is, you have overcome things in the past. The truth is, you are still breathing, and that means you still have a chance. This language doesn't tell you you won't fail. It tells you that even if you fail, you're not a failure. So, how do we make this shift? It starts with a simple practice of identifying and interrupting. For the next 3 days, you will become a silent observer of your own mind. When you catch the inner voice speaking the language of a victim, you will not judge yourself. You will simply and calmly interrupt it. You will not engage in a debate. You will not get frustrated. You will just change the channel. Let's practice this right now. Imagine you've just made a mistake on a project, and the first thought that rushes into your mind is, "I always mess things up." Instead of letting that thought spiral, you stop it. You take a breath, and you replace it with a statement of a leader. "Okay, I made a mistake. What is the lesson here? What is the next logical step?" You see the difference? The first thought locks you in a prison of self-pity. The second one gives you a key and points you toward the door. Your mind will try to pull you back to the familiar. It will argue. It will feel uncomfortable. But that's the point. Growth happens in that discomfort. You are retraining your mind like a muscle. And every time you interrupt the language of weakness and choose the language of a leader, you are adding another rep. You are building mental fortitude. And this practice goes beyond words. It is validated by action. Your self-talk and your actions must be in alignment. You can't tell yourself, "I am a person of action," while you continue to sit and watch television. The moment your actions contradict your words, the contract you have with yourself is broken. Your inner leader demands proof. It asks, "If you are so committed, where is the evidence?" So, the challenge is twofold. First, you will change your inner dialogue. Second, you will choose one small, immediate action to back up that new dialogue. If you tell yourself, "I am disciplined," then your next action must be to put your phone down and start the task you've been avoiding. If you tell yourself, "I am a strong person," your next action must be to get up and take a quick walk, even if you don't feel like it. This is how true confidence is born. Not through wishful thinking, but through a consistent, disciplined process of aligning your words with your deeds. This is how you build a reputation with yourself, a reputation of reliability, resilience, and strength. And when you have that reputation with yourself, no external voice of doubt, no criticism, no setback can shake you. You become a fortress of self-belief, not because you're perfect, but because you've become a master of your own mind. And that, my friends, is the beginning of everything. There comes a point in life where you stop negotiating with the voices that keep pulling you down. Not the voices in your head this time, but the voices in your circle. The people you've allowed too close. The ones who, every time you start to rise, have something to say that makes you question yourself. They laugh when you dream big. They roll their eyes when you talk about your goals. They call it being realistic, but all they're really doing is projecting their fears onto your path. And if you don't make a decision to create distance, their doubt will become your prison. Some people won't believe in you, not because you're not capable, but because they've stopped believing in themselves. And it's easier to pull you back down than it is to rise with you. These are the people who love to remind you of your past. Not because they care, but because it keeps you within a version of yourself they can manage. They remember the old you, the unmotivated you, the uncertain, hesitant version. And any time you try to break out of that, they feel threatened, not consciously but emotionally, because your growth reminds them that they've been standing still. You can't keep chasing your future while dragging the weight of other people's insecurity behind you. It's not noble, it's not kind, It's self-destruction disguised as loyalty. And some of you have been stuck for years, not because you're lazy or unqualified, but because you've surrounded yourself with people who are more committed to your comfort than your calling. They don't want to see you fail, but they don't want to see you rise either. Because if you do, it forces them to confront the gap between what they say and what they live. And that gap is uncomfortable. You don't owe anyone access to your life just because you've known them a long time. Time doesn't equal alignment. Shared history doesn't mean shared vision. If they doubt you every time you speak from your heart, that's not a healthy relationship. That's quiet sabotage. And here's the hard truth. Most people aren't trying to destroy you, but they are keeping you small. And if you're not aware of it, you'll keep shrinking yourself to fit into their comfort zone. The people around you should be like fuel, not friction. When you talk about your plans, they should ask, how can I help? Not, are you sure you can do that? When you fall, they should remind you of your strength, not say, I told you this would happen. And when you win, they should celebrate you like it's their own success, not stay silent because they feel left behind. That's the difference between real support and fake friendship, and it's time you learn to tell them apart. It's okay to outgrow people. In fact, it's necessary. You're evolving, you're learning, you're breaking old patterns, and not everyone is meant to come with you. Some were only part of your story for a season, not the whole journey. And when you try to drag old relationships into a new chapter, you blur the lines between who you were and who you're becoming. That tension slows you down, it clouds your mind, it makes you question what you already know deep down. You were made for more than this. The people in your life should believe in your potential even when you doubt it yourself. They should remind you of who you are when life hits hard. And if they can't do that, if they only show up when you're struggling but disappear when you're growing, it's time to reevaluate what you're allowing into your space. You're not being cold, you're not being harsh, you're protecting your peace, you're guarding your energy, you're choosing growth over guilt. You have to stop feeling bad for wanting better. Stop apologizing for having a vision that makes other people uncomfortable. Their limitations don't have to become your lifestyle. Their fears don't have to become your truth. And their doubt doesn't have to become your identity. Just because someone doesn't believe in your dream doesn't mean your dream is wrong. It means it's not their dream, and that's okay. You're not doing this for applause. You're doing it because something inside you knows you're meant for more. This is where belief starts to take root. When you remove the noise that's always second-guessing you, when you stop sitting at tables where your voice isn't valued, when you stop answering calls from people who only show up when they need something, and when you start surrounding yourself with those who see what you can become, not just what you've been, that shift alone can breathe life into your confidence. You don't need hundreds of people backing you up. You just need a few who see you, who hear you, who remind you to keep going when it gets hard. And until you find those people, be that person for yourself. Speak the encouragement you've never heard. Give yourself the support you've been begging for. Be the example of what it looks like to believe even when others don't. That kind of energy is magnetic. And when you live in that energy long enough, the right people start showing up. But it starts with a decision to stop tolerating conversations that drain you, a decision to stop explaining your passion to those who mock it, a decision to stop lowering your standards just to keep someone comfortable. You weren't put here to live a life that makes others feel better about staying stuck. You were put here to rise, and your circle should reflect that. This isn't about being better than anyone. It's about being better than who you were yesterday. And if someone sees your growth as a threat, they were never rooting for you in the first place. Real friends don't compete, they support. Real mentors don't minimize, they build. And real relationships don't require you to shrink, they invite you to expand. So make the cut with kindness, with clarity, with no drama, just distance. Not out of hate, but out of love for your future. Not because they're bad people, but because they're not good for where you're going. You can still wish them well, you can still care, but you don't have to carry them anymore. Your environment matters more than you think. Your circle is either watering your growth or drying out your roots. Choose wisely. Your dreams are too big, your time is too short, and your purpose is too meaningful to waste another second surrounded by people who don't believe in your rise. Step into the next level of your life and don't look back. The people who are meant to be there will meet you on the way up. The rest, they were part of the foundation, not the future. And that's exactly where they need to stay. The way you start your morning sets the pace for everything that follows. If your day begins in chaos, distraction, or laziness, that becomes the rhythm you carry. But if it starts with focus, purpose, and a win, even a small one, you create momentum before the world even gets a chance to touch you. That's not just routine, that's strategy. Because your future doesn't begin someday out there. It begins the moment you wake up and decide how you're going to live today. Most people wake up and instantly hand over their power. The alarm goes off, and the first thing they do is reach for their phone, checking messages, scrolling through other people's lives, drowning in noise before they've even taken a breath. They're reacting. They're comparing. They're already behind. That's not waking up, that's surrendering. And when you start the day in reaction mode, you lose your chance to lead yourself before the world pulls you in every direction. But you don't have to live like that. You can take back your mornings. You can create a space, even if it's just for 10 minutes, where you reconnect with your intention, where you remind yourself of what matters, what you're working toward, and who you're becoming. That space is sacred. It's not about doing more. It's about starting better. And when you start better, you finish stronger. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need a complicated schedule. You just need a win. One intentional decision that reminds you you're in control. That could be making your bed. That could be a cold shower, a journal entry, a workout, reading something that sharpens your mind, anything that tells your body and your brain, we're not drifting today. We're showing up on purpose. That daily win, no matter how small, builds confidence. It gives your brain proof that you can follow through, proof that you're not stuck, proof that discipline is possible. And that proof stacks up day after day. Suddenly the voice in your head starts to change. You stop waking up dreading the day. You wake up with clarity, with energy, with fire. And it's not because life got easier. It's because you got better at setting the tone. You stopped waiting to feel motivated. You stopped waiting for perfect conditions. You took responsibility for your energy. That's what most people miss. They think confidence comes from results, but confidence starts way earlier. It starts when you do the thing you said you would do. And your mornings are the first test. You can't expect to have a powerful day if you wake up powerless. That's the truth. And you've had enough mornings where you hit snooze 5 times, rolled out of bed feeling regret before the day even started, told yourself, I'll be better tomorrow, but didn't follow through. You know how that feels. The frustration, the guilt, the heaviness that sticks to you like fog. That's not just inconvenience, that's a missed opportunity to lead yourself. Because leadership starts with self, and the first person you lead every day is you. The first decision you make, the first step you take, the first message you send to your mind. It matters more than you think. You don't need to dominate the whole day all at once. You just need to win the first battle. And that battle is always in the morning. If you can claim the first hour of your day, you can reclaim your life. You stop being a slave to urgency. You stop running on stress. You stop getting tossed around by problems that aren't even yours. Instead, you become steady, focused, rooted, because you already chose who you want to be before the world tried to tell you otherwise. You don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. if that doesn't work for you, but you do need to wake up with purpose. There's a difference between sleep and rest, and there's a difference between being awake and being aware. Awareness begins when you stop drifting through your habits and start deciding which ones serve your goals. Your morning isn't about copying someone else's success formula. It's about building one that honors your values and makes you stronger from the inside out. Think of how different your day feels when you start with a win. You move differently. You think clearer. You speak with more confidence. You're not rushing. You're responding. You're not overwhelmed. You're grounded. And even if everything around you falls apart, you already reminded yourself that you can show up with strength. That's priceless. That's powerful. That's freedom. And don't underestimate the ripple effect. When you start your day right, it impacts how you show up for your family, your work, your choices, your mindset, your ability to push through setbacks. You're not just checking a box, you're shifting your identity. Every win, every choice, every consistent action adds to the story you're telling yourself about who you are. And over time, that story becomes unshakable. You won't always feel like it. Some mornings will be heavier than others. Life happens, stress piles up, sleep gets disrupted. But the decision remains the same. Will you drift into the day on autopilot, or will you rise into it with clarity and strength? Will you give yourself one win, just one, before the world demands everything from you? That's the difference between existing and leading. And if you've lost that rhythm, it's not too late to take it back. You don't need a new year. You don't need some massive event to shake you awake. You just need to decide that today matters, that the way you enter it matters, that the tone you set is more important than the tasks on your to-do list. Because once your tone is right, the tasks get done, the goals get tackled, the vision gets clearer. Start tomorrow. Choose one win, one action that speaks to your highest self. Not because you have to, because you're worth it. Because your future deserves that version of you, the one who doesn't wait for the world to dictate their direction, the one who rises regardless of the noise, the one who wakes up with power and ends the day with pride. That's who you are, but you'll never meet that version of yourself if your mornings belong to distractions, laziness, and regret. So take them back, one decision at a time, one win at a time, and keep building brick by brick until your life reflects the strength you chose to start with every single morning. There is a profound feeling that comes when you can look back and see how far you've traveled. Not in miles, not in years, but in growth, in effort, in the small victories that, when stacked one upon another, build something real and lasting. Progress isn't just about reaching the finish line, it's about honoring every single step forward, especially the ones that felt insignificant or too slow at the time. When you track your progress, you bring a powerful light to your journey. You transform what felt invisible into something undeniable. Most people fail to see their own growth because they don't have a record of it. They want big, dramatic results, and they forget that all meaningful change is a slow accumulation of small, consistent actions. This is where the mind plays its most dangerous trick. It convinces you that you're stuck, that nothing is working, that you're a failure. That's a powerful lie. Because often you're closer than you think. You just can't see the distance you've already covered without a clear picture of where you started and what you've accomplished along the way. Tracking progress is the antidote to this deception. It means putting your efforts on paper or in some kind of record so you can look back and say, I did this, I pushed through that, I grew. It's the opposite of drifting through life. It's owning your journey with intention. It's proof that you're not just hoping or wishing, you're actively moving step by deliberate step toward your goals. And that proof is the very fuel that keeps the fire of your ambition burning when motivation runs low. You don't need fancy apps or complicated charts. The most powerful tools are often the simplest. A small journal entry at the end of each day, writing down what you did, how you felt, what you learned, is enough to create a track record of your growth. That record becomes your personal scoreboard, your encouragement bank. And when you feel the urge to quit, you pull it out and remind yourself, I'm already winning. Imagine the feeling of reading back through your own progress after a few weeks or months. You will see the days when you didn't think you could take one more step, but you did. You'll notice the times you tried something new, even when fear screamed at you to stay put. You'll recognize your own resilience, the quiet, internal strength you built in the moments no one else saw. That feeling is electric. It charges your belief in yourself. It makes you realize you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. Tracking progress also provides invaluable feedback. Life is not a straight line, and growth is rarely smooth. Sometimes you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. That's not failure, it's part of the process. But if you don't record what's happening, you can't learn from it. You'll repeat the same mistakes or get discouraged by setbacks that are in reality profound lessons. Seeing your progress in black and white teaches you patience and wisdom. It helps you identify what works and what doesn't, allowing you to refine your approach with purpose. As Jim Rohn taught, what you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. Tracking makes those daily actions visible and proves their collective power. The truth is, we often measure success by the big external moments. A promotion, a significant weight loss, a product launched. But those moments are merely the public harvest of a private season of sowing. The real success is built on a foundation of countless small wins, and tracking your progress makes those small wins visible. It gives you a new way to see success. Instead of chasing an elusive finish line, you learn to celebrate the daily victories. You begin to appreciate the power of consistency, and consistency, more than anything else, is what leads to true, lasting transformation. There's also a profound emotional side to this practice. It builds your confidence. When you write down your achievements, you reinforce a new identity. You're no longer someone who just tries. You are someone who follows through, who grows, who gets stronger. This is critical because your mind is a truth-seeking machine. If you keep telling yourself you're not enough, your brain will look for evidence of that. But if you give it undeniable evidence that you are growing and improving, that's what it will believe. Tracking progress is like showing your mind a mirror that reflects your best, most powerful self. It's important to track more than just external results. Sometimes the biggest changes happen internally in how you think, how you feel, or how you handle challenges. Those shifts are harder to notice, but just as crucial. Write those down too. The way you managed a tough conversation, The moment you said no to a bad habit, the time you pushed past doubt to take action anyway, those internal victories are the bedrock of lasting change. Tracking your progress also invites gratitude. When you see how far you've come, it's easier to appreciate the journey. You stop focusing on what you don't have or what's missing. Instead, you honor the effort, the growth, the moments of courage. That gratitude fuels joy and resilience even in tough times. And joy, as Napoleon Hill taught, is one of the most powerful motivators. When setbacks happen, and they will, having a record of your progress helps you bounce back faster. You'll see that one bad day or week doesn't erase all the work you've done. It's just a chapter, not the whole story. And that perspective keeps you moving forward when others might give up. Tracking progress requires honesty. You have to be willing to face the truth, the good and the bad. But that honesty is profoundly liberating. It clears confusion and eliminates excuses. It makes you accountable, not to others, but to yourself. And accountability is the soil where true, unshakable confidence grows. The most successful people aren't just talented or lucky, they're deliberate. They keep track of their progress because they know that every small step counts. They know that change happens over time through effort repeated day after day. And they celebrate those small steps because they understand that the journey itself is the reward. So if you want to believe in yourself and achieve cool things, start by keeping track of your progress. Capture the wins, the lessons, the growth. Make it a daily habit to reflect on how far you've come. Watch how it changes your mindset, your motivation, and your momentum. Because when you see progress, it becomes impossible to quit. When you see progress, your belief in yourself grows stronger every single day. And that belief is the foundation of every success you will ever have. The people you spend your time with shape more of who you become than you realize. It's not just about shared interests or easy conversations. It's about who challenges you, who refuses to let you settle, who pushes you toward the best version of yourself. If the people around you aren't raising your standards or expanding your vision, then you're missing out on one of the most powerful forces in life, the influence of your inner circle. Many people fall into the trap of staying in comfort zones when it comes to relationships. They surround themselves with those who simply agree or keep things easy but don't push or challenge. That's not friendship or support. That's a cage. You can't grow in a cage. Growth comes from stretch, from tension, from being pushed beyond what feels safe and comfortable. And that happens when you're with people who expect more from you, who hold you accountable, and who won't let you off the hook. Being around people who push you means you're constantly confronted with questions, challenges, and feedback that make you better. It means conversations that go beyond surface-level talk and dive deep into your values, goals, and dreams. It's uncomfortable at times because growth always is. But that discomfort is the sound of progress. It's the noise of you expanding into something greater. Think about how it feels when someone truly believes in you and demands your best. There's a fire that sparks inside you, a mix of responsibility and motivation. You don't want to disappoint that person. You want to rise to the occasion. That's the power of being pushed by others. It creates momentum that you can't manufacture alone. On the other hand, if your circle is full of people who settle, complain, or play small, their energy drags you down. Their doubts become your doubts. Their fear becomes your fear. And their limitations become your prison. It's like trying to run a race with weights tied to your ankles. You can't perform at your peak. You can't reach your full potential. Surrounding yourself with the right people means choosing relationships that are based on mutual growth, respect, and challenge. It's not about competition or jealousy. It's about mutual support that stretches you beyond your comfort zone. These are the people who celebrate your wins but also hold you accountable when you're slacking. They ask the hard questions and push you to answer honestly. They don't let you hide behind excuses or distractions. When you surround yourself with people who push you, you start to see your own blind spots more clearly. They reflect back your strengths and weaknesses without sugarcoating or judgment. That reflection helps you identify what needs to change and what you need to work on. Without that, it's easy to stay stuck in patterns that limit you. It's important to recognize that not every relationship has to be intense or deep, but your core circle, the people you trust and turn to, must include those who challenge you to grow. You need voices that remind you of your potential when you forget it yourself. You need eyes that see beyond your current situation and believe in what you can become. Finding those people isn't always easy. It requires courage to seek out new connections and sometimes to let go of old ones. It means being willing to feel uncomfortable and vulnerable. But the payoff is huge. When you build a community of pushers, you tap into a collective power that accelerates your growth. Those relationships become a source of energy and inspiration. They encourage you to take risks, try new things, and push past fear. They remind you that you're not alone in your journey. That support and challenge together create a powerful foundation for belief in yourself. Imagine what's possible when you have people around you who don't settle for excuses or half efforts, who see your potential even when you doubt it, who push you to get out of bed on tough days, to keep working when results are slow, and to believe that cool things are within reach. That environment changes everything. Your mind adapts to the signals it receives from your social circle. If you're surrounded by people who think big, act boldly, and believe in growth, you start to adopt those same beliefs. Your confidence expands because you're constantly reminded of what's possible. You stop shrinking to fit smaller expectations and start expanding to match higher ones. It's also about accountability. When you share your goals with people who push you, you create a system of checks and balances. You don't want to let them down, so you're more likely to follow through. That external pressure turns into internal drive. It's harder to quit when you know someone is rooting for you and expecting progress. The truth is, nobody builds belief in themselves in isolation. Confidence grows in community. Encouragement and challenge from the right people become fuel for your fire, and that fuel carries you through hard times, doubts, and setbacks. So take a hard look at your circle. Are these the people who push you? Are they the ones who stretch your limits, call you out on your excuses, and inspire you to be better? If not, it's time to seek out those who will. It's time to surround yourself with individuals who will see your potential and refuse to let you settle for less. That doesn't mean cutting people off abruptly or being unkind. It means being intentional about where you invest your time and energy. It means nurturing relationships that lift you up and help you grow, and creating boundaries around those that hold you back. Belief in yourself grows fastest when your environment matches your ambition. When the people around you see the greatness in you and push you to live it out, that kind of support is priceless. It's the difference between staying stuck and soaring to new heights. This is how you build unstoppable belief, by choosing to walk with people who make you better every day. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Because when you surround yourself with people who push you, you become the person you were meant to be. There is a quiet thief that sneaks into our minds every single day. A silent saboteur that steals our peace, our power, and our progress. Its name is comparison. This insidious habit is one of the most damaging things you can do to your belief in yourself. When your eyes are locked on what others have, their accomplishments, their lifestyle, their highlight reels, you lose sight of your own unique path. You become a runner in a race, but instead of focusing on the finish line ahead, you are constantly looking sideways, wasting energy and losing momentum in a competition that was never your own. The truth is, comparison creates a narrative of scarcity. It whispers a dangerous lie that you are not enough. It tells you that you are behind, that you don't measure up, that someone else's success somehow diminishes your own potential. This lie chips away at your confidence slowly but surely. Every time you scroll through a filtered reality on social media or hear about someone else's breakthrough, your mind whispers, "Why not me? Why am I still struggling?" That whisper can grow into a roar if you let it, drowning out the vital voice inside that's telling you, "Keep going, you are making progress." The profound problem with comparison is that it ignores a fundamental truth. You are only ever seeing the end result. You don't see the early mornings, the unseen struggles, the failures, the setbacks, or the countless moments of doubt that everyone faces on their journey. You only see the polished, curated surface. And because you only see that shiny surface, it's easy to believe that their journey was somehow easier, that their life is inherently better, and that your own relentless efforts are somehow lacking. The moment you make the powerful decision to stop comparing yourself is the moment you take back control. This is the act of reclaiming your power and refocusing your energy. When you stop measuring your worth by someone else's standards and instead turn inward to focus on your own growth, everything changes. You begin to pay attention to your own progress, your own unique strengths, and your own boundless potential. You start to celebrate your victories, no matter how small, and use them as fuel to propel you forward. This inward focus is not a retreat. It is a strategic and necessary act of self-preservation. It shifts your energy away from the poison of envy and self-doubt and directs it toward the fertile ground of self-improvement and hope. Let us be crystal clear. Growth is personal and unique. No two journeys are the same. What matters is not how fast someone else is moving, but whether you are moving forward. That progress, regardless of its pace, builds a deep-seated belief in yourself. It reminds you that you are capable of change and worthy of success. When you compare less and grow more, you create a powerful, positive feedback loop that carries you further than any comparison ever could. It is natural to notice others' achievements and wonder, but that impulse becomes harmful when it paralyzes you into inaction. Instead of letting comparison stop you, use it as a cue to refocus. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this person's success? How can I apply that lesson to my own unique journey? When you make your growth the absolute priority, comparison loses its grip. One of the most effective ways to stay focused on your own path is to create a clear, vivid vision of what success looks like for you and you alone. Write down what you want to achieve, how you want to feel, and the kind of person you want to become. This vision acts as a compass, keeping you on a true course when the noise of comparison tries to pull you off track. It reminds you that your journey is meaningful and your goals are valid. You must also celebrate your wins often. When you take the time to acknowledge the progress you've made, no matter how insignificant it may seem, you reinforce your belief in yourself. These celebrations build momentum, strengthen your motivation, and prove that your efforts truly matter. Over time, these moments of self-acknowledgement become the unshakable foundation of your confidence. Growth, my friends, often happens in quiet, unseen ways. You might not get instant recognition or applause, but the profound changes happening inside you are far more important than any external success. You are becoming more patient, more resilient, and more self-aware. These inner shifts lay the groundwork for lasting achievement and deep satisfaction. When you focus on your growth, you stop seeking validation from outside sources. You become your own biggest supporter. That internal belief is the most powerful force in the universe because it's built on the solid ground of your own experiences, your own efforts, and your own progress. It is a belief that declares, I am enough, I am capable, and I am moving forward. The practice of focusing on your own growth instead of comparison is not a one-time fix. It is a daily commitment. It requires reminding yourself where your true value comes from and choosing to nurture your potential every single day. This commitment becomes a habit that fundamentally reshapes how you see yourself and the world. This shift also changes how you respond to setbacks. Instead of seeing failure as proof that you are behind, you view it as a necessary part of your unique journey. You understand that everyone struggles and that true growth comes from learning and persistence. This mindset keeps you moving forward when others would give up. Ultimately, the real power of stopping comparison is that it opens up a space for joy. When you stop measuring your worth by others, you make room to truly appreciate your own life and your own progress. You begin to enjoy the process, the small wins, and the hard-won lessons along the way. That joy strengthens your belief and fuels your desire to keep growing. Believing in yourself means owning your journey. It means committing to your growth without distraction or doubt. It means seeing your worth as independent of anyone else's success. When you stop comparing yourself and focus on your own growth, you unlock the power to achieve truly great things. You become unstoppable because your belief is no longer fragile. It is grounded in who you are and who you are becoming every single day. One of the greatest powers you can unlock in your journey toward believing in yourself is the ability to set small goals and finish them. No excuses, no delays, no distractions. These small goals are the building blocks of confidence and achievement. They are the proof you can count on when doubt creeps in. When you develop the habit of completing what you start, you send a clear message to your mind and heart. You are reliable, you are capable, you can finish what you begin. There's something deeply satisfying about finishing a task, no matter how small. That sense of completion creates a ripple effect inside your brain. It releases a chemical called dopamine, which makes you feel good and motivates you to keep going. This isn't just about feeling good, it's about rewiring your brain to trust yourself. When you say you'll do something and then you do it, you build a foundation of self-trust, and without self-trust, belief in yourself cannot grow. Small goals matter because they are manageable. When you set big goals without breaking them down, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. The mountain looks too high, the path too long. That's where excuses creep in. I don't have time, I'm not ready, or it's too hard. But small goals are different. They fit into your day, they feel achievable. You can see progress quickly, which fuels your motivation and confidence. Finishing small goals also teaches discipline. It trains you to show up for yourself consistently. It's not about grand gestures or dramatic leaps, it's about the quiet, steady work of doing what you said you would do. That consistency is the secret to building momentum. Each small win stacks on the last, and before you know it, you've climbed higher than you thought possible. Excuses are the enemy of progress. They sound tempting because they offer a quick escape from discomfort or challenge, but every excuse chips away at your belief in yourself. It's like letting a crack grow in a dam. Eventually it breaks and the flood of doubt and fear takes over. Refusing to make excuses means standing firm even when it's tough. It means holding yourself accountable because you know that you're worth the effort. One key to finishing without excuses is to plan your goals carefully. Be specific about what you want to achieve. Instead of saying, I'll exercise more, say, I'll walk for 15 minutes after breakfast. This clarity makes the goal concrete and less likely to get lost in the chaos of the day. When your goals are clear, your mind knows exactly what to focus on. Another important strategy is to create deadlines for your small goals. Without a deadline, it's easy to put things off indefinitely. Deadlines create urgency. They turn vague intentions into commitments. When you have a clear timeline, you're more likely to take action and finish on time. Accountability can also help. Share your small goals with someone you trust or write them down where you can see them daily. That visibility reminds you of your commitments and makes it harder to back out. When you make your goals public, even in a small way, you add a layer of responsibility that can push you through moments of doubt. It's also helpful to break tasks into even smaller steps if you feel stuck. Sometimes the hardest part is just starting. By making your goals tiny, just 5 minutes of work or one small action, you lower the barrier to entry. Once you begin, momentum takes over and finishing becomes much easier. Finishing without excuses doesn't mean perfection or never making mistakes. It means choosing progress over perfection. It means deciding to move forward even when conditions aren't ideal. Every completed goal, no matter how small, is a victory over procrastination and fear. Each time you finish a goal, your brain records it as a success. These successes build an internal bank of proof that you can rely on when you face new challenges. You pull from this bank and say, I've done hard things before, I can do this too. That internal evidence is stronger than any external validation because it's based on your own actions. Small goals also help you learn what works and what doesn't. They provide feedback. Maybe you discover that you work best in the morning or that certain distractions throw you off. This learning process is crucial. It keeps you improving and adapting. Every finished goal is a step forward, not just in achievement, but in understanding yourself better. As you build a habit of finishing small goals, you'll notice a change in how you see yourself. You become a person of action, a person who follows through. That identity shift is powerful because your self-image influences your behavior. When you see yourself as reliable and capable, you start making choices that reflect that belief. Don't underestimate the power of celebrating these small wins. Take a moment to acknowledge your effort and success. This celebration reinforces your motivation and makes the process enjoyable. It's not just about reaching the destination, it's about appreciating the journey and the progress along the way. Remember, cool things don't always happen overnight. They're often the result of consistent effort, day by day, goal by goal. The discipline you build by setting and finishing small goals without excuses prepares you for bigger challenges ahead. It's a practice that creates resilience and confidence. When excuses come knocking, remind yourself that every excuse is a choice. You can choose to let it stop you or choose to push through. Choosing to push through means taking control of your future and building belief in yourself, one completed goal at a time. This habit of finishing what you start becomes a cornerstone of your personal power. It's proof that you're dependable first to yourself, then to the world. And when you prove that to yourself enough times, you start expecting greatness from your own efforts. You raise your standards and your belief follows. Belief in yourself isn't a switch you flip once, it's a muscle you build with every goal finished, with every excuse resisted. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you can trust your own word, that trust empowers you to go after cool things with certainty and strength. So set those small goals, plan them clearly. Commit to finishing them no matter what. Push past excuses because your future self deserves that kind of respect and dedication. That's how belief in yourself grows. That's how cool things get done. There's a powerful trap many fall into that stops them dead in their tracks. It's the idea that nothing counts until it's perfect. That unless everything lines up exactly right, the effort isn't worth celebrating. This mindset can crush your spirit and stall your progress before you even get going. Waiting for perfection is waiting for a mirage that never arrives. The truth is, what deserves recognition every day is your effort. The sweat, the courage, the persistence, not some flawless end result. Effort is the real heartbeat of growth and success. When you honor your effort, you're telling yourself that showing up matters, that trying, pushing, and putting yourself out there is valuable, even if things don't go exactly as planned. Celebrating effort ignites motivation because it connects you to your progress, not some unreachable ideal. It reminds you that each step forward, no matter how imperfect, is a step toward becoming who you want to be. Imagine for a moment the feeling of pride after a day when you gave your best, regardless of the outcome. That feeling is a spark inside you. It fuels your confidence and makes you want to keep moving forward. But if you only celebrate perfection, that spark quickly dies out. You set the bar so high that every attempt feels like failure unless it's flawless. And that's a heavy burden to carry. When you focus on effort, you shift your attention from what you don't have to what you do have. Instead of dwelling on mistakes or shortcomings, you look at what you put into the process. You recognize the discipline of getting up early, the strength of facing your fears, the determination to keep going when it felt easier to quit. Those things matter deeply because they are the true marks of growth. This shift also changes how you handle setbacks. When you're attached only to perfection, mistakes feel like disasters. But when effort is what you celebrate, setbacks become learning moments. You see them as part of the journey, not the end of the road. This perspective makes you resilient. You bounce back faster because you know that trying again is an act of courage, not failure. Celebrating effort requires awareness. It means noticing the small wins throughout your day. It means paying attention to your habits and choices, not just your results. Maybe you wrote a page, practiced a skill, or took a tough conversation head on. Each of those moments is a victory. When you acknowledge them, you build momentum and reinforce your belief in yourself. It's also important to express that celebration. Say it out loud, write it down, or share it with someone who supports you. When you vocalize your effort, it becomes real and tangible. It strengthens your connection to your progress and encourages you to keep going even when the path looks uncertain. Waiting for perfection often leads to procrastination. You delay starting or finishing because it doesn't feel good enough. That hesitation wastes precious time and energy. When you choose to celebrate effort, you free yourself from the need to be flawless before you move. You give yourself permission to begin, to stumble, and to improve as you go. Perfection is an illusion created by fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. Recognizing this fear is the first step to overcoming it. When you celebrate your effort, you confront that fear head on. You prove to yourself that your value isn't tied to being perfect, but to being persistent and courageous. This mindset has a profound impact on your self-esteem. Instead of tying your worth to outcomes, you base it on your commitment and actions. That creates a stable foundation for belief in yourself because your value becomes internal, not dependent on external approval or results. Effort is also contagious. When you celebrate your hard work, you inspire others to do the same. Your example encourages those around you to value progress over perfection, creating a positive cycle of motivation and growth in your community. That support system is priceless. In practical terms, celebrate effort by setting realistic expectations. Focus on what you can control, your attitude, your actions, your consistency, then recognize and appreciate those things daily. This habit rewires your brain to see progress, not perfection. Sometimes celebrating effort means forgiving yourself when things don't go as planned. It means acknowledging that setbacks don't erase your hard work. This forgiveness opens the door to renewed effort and continuous improvement. Remember, the world doesn't reward perfection. It rewards those who keep going. Success belongs to the person who shows up repeatedly, learns from mistakes, and refuses to quit. That's the person who grows stronger and more confident with every step. Your journey is unique, and your effort is what makes it meaningful. When you honor that effort, you build a deep sense of pride and belief in yourself. You prove to yourself that you are committed, resilient, and capable of amazing things. So don't wait for perfect moments to celebrate. Recognize the power in your effort today. Feel the pride in your persistence. Let that feeling carry you forward. That's the fuel that turns dreams into reality and belief into action. Your effort is your victory. Cherish it, celebrate it, and watch yourself achieve the cool things you were meant to achieve.